Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us on Debate Amongst Friends presents Duke It Out. I'm your host, the Duke, sitting here with you as always, and we have a very, how do we say, special guest with us this evening. Uh, you might know him as the professor. Yes, 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 yes. Sitting, running the soundboard. I just like bouncing ideas off of him because it's always fun. But we have a oh, of course, you know, you're always here, but you get to play a side seat and just deliver some commentary.
Well,
You
if he
know,
said so, I'll definitely give it my try.
because the people just love your silky voice.
I don't know who told you that lie, but that's a lie.
I got it from a pigeon. Pigeon gang.
Oh boy, your pigeon's gonna be the death of me.
Hey, death to somebody, man. They're filthy.
I see
Anywho,
what you did there.
no. We got a pretty packed slate. Um, just as always, a few things that I've noticed out in the world on my walkabouts, communing with pigeons and eating things off the ground. You know, let's go ahead. Hey, look. uh, Anyways, let's go ahead and break this down. So, as I flip through the newspaper every morning, eating my bran flakes and drinking my black coffee, I came across a story about Russia being banned from the 2018 Winter Olympics. That kind of blew me. A, I don't think any of us can think of a colder place than Russia, except, I don't know, maybe the North Pole, second only to Antarctica. But I was kind of curious about it. So I went ahead and I did some digging. And it turns out that apparently in the 2014 games, there was a doping scandal surrounding Russia and some of its uh, participants. And I guess it takes the Olympic Committee 4 years to do a investigation because here we are now talking about the 2018 games, and for the briefest of time there, Russia was banned from it. The ban has since been lifted by the Olympic Committee. However, at that point, Russian President Vladimir Putin stepped in and went, no, no, you're not going to blame us for cheating and then just wipe it under the rug. We're just not going to compete. Now, what was funny to me is that I kind of feel like, on the one hand, this is a real childish response to being told that you can't play in the sandbox. But at the same time, I imagine that, if somebody does accuse you of cheating and you don't like it, you probably would be feeling some sort of way about that. I don't really know. But, I guess cooler heads have prevailed as he has since retracted his Russia won't compete stance. And for all of you people who watch the Winter Olympic Games, me myself personally, I like to watch curling. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. Sue me. But Russia will be there this year competing, at least as of today. We'll see how Putin feels tomorrow. Straight OG status. But you know, otherwise in this wild and crazy world, one of our workers here came to me the other day and asked me if I had heard about the national parks. I don't know why people like to poke at me. I don't know. Never mind. I'm not even going to begin to hypothesize about that. But I don't know why people point at me whenever stuff like this happens and go, "Hey, what do you think about it?" But I don't really have a reaction one way or the other. Apparently, our our fearless leader, for those of you who can't see the air quotes, I am saying this sarcastically. Um, President Trump plans on in the next year and a half or so, uh, cutting down the size of, or the size and the funding of two national monuments slash parks country. The first of which, the one that I was, actually interested in, is a. It's listed as a national monument. I think of it more like a national park or a natural preserve, but it's the Bear Ears National Monument in Utah. And the proposed plan will cut it down by 1.48 million acres and dedicate it into two separate parks, or two separate monuments, I guess. The reason that I guess a lot of people were feeling this way about it was because initially this was an initiative created by President Obama in his last years in office, and it was set up and dedicated to Native American tribes, particularly the Bear Ears tribe, in that area. Now, me, myself personally, I have no beef with that. I do feel like that's a lot of land to take or give. That's a lot. And if I were a governor, I'd be kind of pissed about that. But, I guess it was unused land by the state anyway, so the Fed stepped in and decided to dedicate it. Me, myself personally, I'm like, hey, look, we have some 100,000 federally funded parks in this country, and be they good or bad, we as taxpayers pay for all of them. So my own personal stance on it is, if you as an outside force are trying to help me save money, why should I be so upset about that? That's just me. Now, not to take anything away from the Native Americans who were living on this land, seemingly doing them. Again, it's not a reservation. It is not dedicated native land, which is why President Trump is able to come in and do this, which I feel like probably would have made more sense. But I do feel bad for them in that sense. That being said, it is not a actual reservation, anything like that. It is not dedicated native land. And I feel like if that was the whole game plan, then that should be what I'm sure upcoming protests should be about. Once again, just me, just this one man's opinion. Bear in mind, I talk to pigeons, so you can take that with a grain of salt if you want. But hey, just me. Any words from the booth? Sweet. All right, we are moving, man. We are cooking with grease. We also had this report, and I don't know how accurate this actually is. I'm pretty sure more research kind of needs to be done in this, but apparently a report put out by the New York Times, of all publications, says that the U.S. economy is stronger this month than it has been in the past consecutive 86 months. Now, if you're like me and you don't count the passage of time in months, unless you have small children, I guess, then you might want this broken down into a more digestible time frame. So I whipped out the old calculator, carried the one, used my toes, and it came out to be 7.16 years. 7.16 years ago, we were just ending the first year of President Obama's presidency. Now, I've stated something similar when I talked about the the passage of time as it relates to legislative policies when I was talking about Reagan era tax breaks and economic reform affecting the surplus that we experienced in the 90s with Clinton's presidency. And I feel like this is probably another one of those issues where you now have, 8 years elapsing between the end of President Bush's term and the beginning of President Trump's. Not to take anything away from President Obama, however, anytime that you institute a change, it usually takes some time. It takes roughly a year to craft and get support for it. It takes a year for it to make it through Congress, a year for it to be instituted, and then it takes upwards of 4 to 5 years for the effects to actually be seen. So once again, if you do the math, if you take it back, if we could attribute this to our previous president, then it would have had to have been some sort of sweeping economic reform that he did in his first year of being president. I just thought it was funny that the New York Times felt the need to point out that the economy is stronger than it has been in the past 86 months, but give absolutely no backing to figure out where that came from. And I feel like they probably did the math too as they were writing it and just decided, nah, it's not a fight we want. It was just hilarious to me. These are the things that humor me. And the birds, but mostly me. Something, I guess, a little, we'll say odder. Odder. Anyways, there was a woman in, I believe it was Virginia. I have to go back and double check. But there was a woman who was born without a uterus. All right. I don't really know how that works. Duchess asked me that. We thought maybe originally she'd been transgendered, in which case, of course, she wouldn't have been born with a uterus, but, what else? No, apparently it was just some form of birth defect. She was born without a uterus, candlelight vigil. But in a turn of events, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy last month. Now, if you were just to read that tagline in the news, you would probably be a little curious. And so was I. So I decided to go in and look at this. Apparently, she received a transplant from a living donor last year, a transplant uterus from a living donor last year, one of the first surgeries of its kind, in which it is exactly how it sounds. They took a uterus from a living woman and inserted it into her. Apparently it took, and a year later, she gives birth to a kid. Medical marvels be damned. I mean, I'm just waiting for the day where I can either be bionic or I can live for forever through the transplant of bodily organs and tissue. If they can get stem cell research up to the point where we can just start replacing stuff, sign me up 3 times. I need a new heart. I need some new lungs. I don't know. That pinky toe, it troubles me sometimes. I want a new one. We are going to get to the point where they will start selling body parts at Costco with an on-staff surgeon to put them in. I am living for this day. I really am. And every time that I read one of these stories, I just think, oh man, we're getting closer. And it can't come fast enough because I'm getting older. Stuff's just starting to fail. It's not good. But I sincerely dig it. And snaps to her. I won't say her name because, she didn't want her name released. But, snaps to her and her baby boy. I hope that, she has many more children should she wish it, and that all of them come out as healthy as this one. That is awesome, and it gives me renewed hope for the human race. But, not to take away from that, but as we were talking about last week on the show, with these high profile people, men, being called out among allegations of sexual assault, sexual harassment, apparently things have kicked up a notch this week. And this is exactly kind of what I predicted would happen last week. So we have lawmakers who have stepped down now. And I mean, national lawmakers, congressmen, 3 of them to be exact, that are stepping down amidst these allegations. And it's really sad because, again, I don't know, man. I just don't get what the end game is, aside from tearing down, I don't know, males in the workplace, I guess. If you have any idea, holla at me. Grab a pigeon. You know what? I don't care. Shoot an arrow in my window. Just make sure I'm not standing in front of it. Like, get at me. Explain this to me, please, because I'm trying to figure it out, but I just don't see the end game. And I like to feel like I'm an intelligent individual. This is kind of making me feel stupid. It's either a stupid plan or I'm dumb. One of the two. But you also have, actors. Jeremy Piven just got caught up into this. And Duchess is distraught. She loves his new show. And now it has been pulled and the season will not be finished because he's been fired. Because someone said that apparently he's a new R. Kelly and he used to be running around filling old movies. I don't know. Don't know if it's true. Don't really care. I'm more focused on the fallout from the allegations themselves. It's just me. And then you also have this guy who part of me just wants to dedicate the entire burn unit to this dude. So, Prof, if you're listening, I feel like you'll get a kick out of this. Apparently, there's a senator from Jersey, Senator Booker, who has made a lot of waves lately because he is asking President Trump, actually, he's not even asking, he's demanding that President Trump resign due to the allegations that were made against him while he was on the campaign trail from, quote unquote, dozens of women that say he groped them. Now, do I believe that he did it? Probably. Do I believe that he did it as president? No. Do I believe that he did it as a married man? No. No, I don't. That's just me. But I just laugh at the audacity. And not only the audacity, but just the ludicrousness of this. That's like, fine. Let's say that you stole a candy bar as a 5-year-old and, it was wrong. Your parents probably punished you, but you never actually got caught for stealing the candy bar. All right. Well, let's fast forward 30 years. You're 35 now. And all of a sudden, someone goes back and looks at this old videotape of 5-year-old you stealing this candy bar and goes, you know what? You should go to jail for that. You should go turn yourself in right now and tell them that you stole that candy bar 30 years ago. Seriously? That is, again, was it a crime? Sure. Was it wrong to do? Of course. But seriously? Is there no end in sight to the ridiculousness that this brings. Like, not only that, but I sincerely hope that Senator Booker and all of his cohorts don't just have some angry ex waiting in the wing, waiting for you to get big enough and come out and say, hey, you know what? That one time when we were dating 25 years ago, like, I know your kids are grown now, but doesn't matter. You touched me inappropriately on that one date and I didn't like it. So, you know, you should vacate your job, even though you didn't have it then. You should give that up. Like, I I swear, at some point I must have gained the powers of the Flash because I feel like I'm in Bizarro world right now. Apparently, I woke up and ran so fast to the car that I hopped realities, and this is Bizarro world. I don't know. It's hilarious to me. It really, 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 really is. And I kind of feel like the Joker. I only laugh because I'm crying so hard on the inside. It's really my pain that you see, but I mask it with a smile. That whole thing. It is sad, and it makes me not even want to bring children into a world where you can't be a kid or a boy or a girl or a whatever version of yourself that you want to be without someone taking offense to it and potentially ruining your life. It is very sad, but I feel like the saddest part about it is the fact that this is becoming the new norm. It's just crazy to me. It really is. And, I would love to hear what all of you think about it. Hit me up on the Debate Amongst Friends pages or on Twitch. Gram it to me. I don't care. Put it in the sign. Get it to me because I would love to hear what all of you think about this. Freaking Senator Booker. I swear. That's your boy. That's your boy. But I said this was going to be a relatively short one. I really am sad that I devoted a lot of it just to that. But like that got to me in just a special place. Oh, ooh, real quick. Um, so I was not gonna bring this up, but I'm gonna bring this up now. Free Comic Book Day is coming up. I believe it is the 18th. And I didn't really do anything, comic related like I usually try to do in this episode, but we had a lot of stuff going in this past week. And a lot of it kind of got swept under the news rug and wasn't very well known. So I kind of wanted to hit that up. But I promise next week we will try to do a recap of some of the best titles that come out, some of the best storylines. We have a continuation from the Infinity storyline from a few years ago that apparently, per Marvel, is going to tie into the Infinity War movie coming out here in May. So I'm definitely keeping that one on the hot list. There's also a new Scott Pilgrim series coming out, or maybe it's just kind of like a continuation of the old one. I'm not sure yet, but we'll definitely have all of that listed for you on next week. Man in the chair, do you have anything you wanted to bring up? Sweet. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I had to bring the professor in to help produce the episode and run sound because if it were just me and Chris in the booth, I'm pretty sure all you would get was the recording of a potential assault. So yeah, Chris has been given the night off and Prof has stepped in his place, which is probably best for all parties involved. Just go ahead and throw that disclaimer out there. Hey, but as far as a final thought goes, again, I know that this episode was kind of short and sweet, especially compared to last week, but I kind of just wanted to push out to everyone, look, it is okay to be you. Regardless of what anyone tells you, it is okay to be you. Within the confines of your four walls, within the small circle of your friends, at your local place of worship, or even just out by yourself on the street. That does not mean that we should not be considerate of others, and it does not mean that we should not care what other people think. But it does mean that you should not have to alter yourself to fit in with any one group or any one set of people. We as a human race are best when we are commingled. We are social creatures by nature. We seek out interactions with things like us, or things at least closely like us, which is why we have pets. No other animal does that. You know, and it is not wrong, no matter what anyone says, for you to go out and seek that interaction. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to them. But again, you need to find that person or that group of people who can at least relate to you. You know, we are at our best when we stand together. But right now, we have to get to that point where we feel that it is okay to stand with others. So do me a favor over the next week. Put the phone down for a solid hour. Matter of fact, put it in a different room. Same thing with the tablets, the laptops, the computers. Unplug and just enjoy the people around you or the things around you if you have pets. Or go out and find some people or things to be around. Now, go to a pet store. They'll let you play with the puppies for free. You know, just get out and start building those real, actual connections to things. Because I can't help but feel like that is what is really an endangered species in today's world. But as always, you can catch myself and the rest of the Debate Amongst Friends crew on our YouTube page. You can check us out on Twitter. Oh, actually, on our YouTube page, we actually have a Duke It Out playlist now. So this episode and all other episodes that come up in the past, future, alternate Earths, Smurf, Earth 2, Florida, all of them, you can go check it out on that playlist. We're also on Twitter, Debate Amongst Fr. Also on Twitch, under Debate Amongst Friends. On Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, and pretty much anywhere else that podcast streaming services are displayed. You can come check us out. Please bring your friends, bring your mother. Well, maybe not your mother, but definitely your father. I'm pretty sure he'll understand. You know, bring the whole crew and come laugh with us, cry with us. Well, I mean, not really me, but maybe Doc. I don't know. But anyways, it's a good time. It's a good time, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, I bid you adieu. I've been the Duke. Thank you very much to the professor for not having me get arrested tonight. And we will catch all of you later.